Hello! Let me put my glasses on. They're actually very dirty. I'm making another fridge leftovers dinner, and I said this yesterday, I've been meaning to go to the shops for a week. Even though we had some odd ends and odd bits and stuff in the bottom of the fridge, but I was just kind of missing my exciting, the exciting things that you love that make your meals easy. You can see my grey hairs. So I normally would have gone to the shops, and we actually don't have any meat. I did go to our local market, I'll say that, and I got some eggs because eggs are important, and I got one sweet potato, which is going in, but the rest of it, I want to show you the fridge first. So if you've been following along, we got some handmade pasta from Ricardo. This is now the veggie crisper. So they'll just be snacks. There's some sage there, that's fine. I hate green zucchini. Not zucchini, capsicum. Why is it even in here? I'm gonna have to find something to do with it. To me, it's like the most useless vegetable on the planet. Ginger, wonderful. And these are just some bits that I'm meaning to freeze. Onion offcuts. And then, as you can see, it's dirty. So I take out this tea towel, which I dampen before I put it in with my new veggie haul. And so that means that it doesn't get all dirty underneath, although it still kind of does, because this fridge, I can't actually get the shelves out. Genius, because it's in the cupboard. Anyway, that's just another fun fact. So let me show you what is for dinner, because I'm excited. And I don't know why I turned it around. Let's go back. Okay, sweet potato I did purchase. I have this leftover sourdough, and if you live in Sydney and you live on the North Shore, you can get sourdough everywhere over the bridge, but on the North Shore I find it a bit hard, and I go to Milsons Point Deli. So it's on whatever street. If you want to know where it is, let me know. And on Saturdays and Sundays, they have the good sourdough. It smells sour, it's beautiful, it's amazing, and it's in a paper bag. It's not in any plastic bag. So I'm going to toast these up and make croutons. So that's step one. I have some greens left over, coriander, odd bits of cucumber. Honestly, what am I thinking? This always seems like the best idea at the time, and then I look at it and it just is annoying. Cos lettuce, broccoli, eggplant that I was going to roast last night that I haven't, red cabbage, an onion, what's this? Mango seed. I'm going to chop up all the flesh that's on that. I'm going to try and get out these semi-dried tomatoes that I've semi-dried myself, and they're just in olive oil and they've been in the fridge. I have some leftovers here. So roasted beetroots left over. Pasta, that was from last night, left over. That's buckwheat pasta and something else. I think it's just actually plain penne. And then I have these from a few weeks ago that I went live and showed you how to make. So there's just some pickled cucumbers and pickled onions in there as well. So it's a real mishmash, and I love these types of meals because whatever goes, as long as you have what you love in it. And I love all of this stuff in different ways, but for me, what makes it exciting is some coriander. The semi-dried tomatoes are exciting for me. The mango's exciting. It's all really exciting, but what I'm most excited about is, who's that guy that says, I'm excited all the time? I think I sound like him. I'm most excited about croutoning the bejesus out of these. So we have some crunchy, crispy, bready bits in with a light summery salad because it's so freaking humid in Sydney. I don't know if it's prego hormones or whatever, but it's bloody hot. So I'm just going to slice these up And I learned another good tip from someone at an event that I went to, and she said that she was Italian, and she said her nonna never ever wasted the ends of the breads, which is something that we're a little bit guilty of some weeks. Especially as it gets hotter, it kind of goes off a bit faster, it goes moldy. But she said that they put them in the oven like this and just put them on a low temperature, like 150, and leave them for an hour or so. I made up that temperature in that time, but they, low toast it and make breadcrumbs, and then they'd make little schnitzel mixes. So they'd blend that up, or, in a food processor, and put it with, different herbs and spices and that type of thing. And she gave us all one at this event, like a little jar, and it was amazing. It was so good. And it also, I think we made schnitzels with it. Seems like the smart thing to do. But I also remember I put some in some fritters and that type of thing. So it was amazing. But I'm just trying to use it up. So croutoni, roasted veggie, cabbage, it's really just a mix of whatever. Let me get rid of that bit of hair. But as I said, I cook things I'm excited to make, which is why if you watch yesterday's video, I was so scared to use the sardines, because to me sardines aren't that exciting. The meal was pretty good. I'd probably say I would love it. Like, I'd love the sardines like cooked as I did, with onions and garlic and that type of thing, probably herbs. But then I'd love them stirred through like a cold pasta salad. I wasn't totally into it warm, but it did the job. It was good. That's kind of like step 2 of Kitchen Saucery, is to make something, make anything. It does not matter what it is, just freaking get in the kitchen and make something. It does not matter how much time you have. Make something and then eat it and then review it. So the review, how boring, really. What a tough life we have. We have to make things and then eat them and then think about how they tasted for us. But a lot of people would do that and go, oh, well, I just stuffed up the sardines. They weren't as good as I wanted them to be. I followed this recipe and they were a little bit blah, they're a little bit blah, blah, blah. Add your little, comment in there. That's what the blah was. And they'd walk away from the recipe maybe feeling disheartened, or they have less confidence than they did before because it didn't work and they don't know what's wrong with it, because they're just following someone else's rules without checking in here with what's going on. And then they continue on. So, croutons in the oven, maybe like 20 minutes or so. Oh my God, it's so hot. Okay, so I don't put any baking paper down because I have, that tray is a really good one. That's my favorite tray that I put the croutons on. This is my other tray, just clean and good, and it doesn't, I like the feeling of the metal or whatever it is having contact with the veggies, because it is extra heat. So you're getting heat from the bottom, metal hot heat, and then you're getting top heat down from the oven as well. So I'm chopping the ends off this. I don't ever peel my sweet potatoes. I keep them whole. I just give them a wash depending where they come from. Give them a good scrub. And that's it. And if you were in a rush, my tip is chop faster. Chop faster, but chop smaller. So you could chop really small, diced little bits, which I think I'll do. You could also even chop that one lengthways and then chop it into strips. There's some angry car beeping its horn out the front of my house. So I'm just going to throw that on a tray. And what I do with the trays is like, or with my veggies, kind of keep all the sweet potato together and then all the eggplant together and all the broccoli together. So, and that's because this will be faster to cook than these, and this will also, this is the eggplant from last night, will also be faster to cook than the sweet potato. So I can check on this in 15 minutes, 20 minutes amounts. So look at that, that's beautiful. A nice little cross section of the broccoli. So I'll just put those down on the tray, and then I sweep up all these little bits as well. So you'll have big bits of broccoli, small bits of broccoli, and everything is roasted because I'm cheating, but also I just love the taste of roasted veggies. And if you wanted to make this a bit more interesting, you could add different spices. So some cumin and cinnamon, or if you had some curry powder, that would be good, or dried herbs or fennel seeds, even just cumin seeds on their own, a bit of cinnamon, turmeric, list goes on. We'll just flavor and spice, well, flavor with spice in different ways, and add a little bit more excitement to your dinner. So olive oil, this is all very simple. I have a random bit of garlic in there. You could actually add some cloves of roasted garlic, that would be good too. So massage everything up in the oil. I normally like my eggplant a bit oilier. I think I'll say this every time. I'm a bit funny about eggplant. It has to be really perfect for me to enjoy it. And that means cooked well in a lot of oil and crispy. Oily, crispy cooked. So I also put some salt on it because I think that just helps it. And then these go in the oven too. So while that's all cooking away, what I love most about red roasted veggies is I can have a big roasted veggie bowl, so I'll cook up everything in the oven, go have a shower or do the washing up or just get other stuff sorted, and then I can come back and all I need to do is the next bit, which I've planned to be easy. So for me, easy, delicious things, it might be just removing from the freezer some pre-cooked chickpeas, which you can get my free ebook to see the argument for cooking your own chickpeas. It's well worth the minimal effort that is involved. Very minimal. By that I mean throwing it in a pot, covering it with water, letting it cook, walking away, coming back in an hour, and it's done. But then the best thing about that is you can just freeze it. I have it in that big bag and I just take out chunks of what I need when I need it, and I'll just reheat it in the pan or defrost it. And it's good to go. Things that I love on top of roasted veggies would be halloumi. Can't go wrong with halloumi. Or I might have leftover roasted chicken in the freezer as well, so I might heat that up a little bit. What else? And then this just all comes back to what you find exciting to eat. So it might be for you pickles, like pickled onion or cucumber or pickled carrots or anything like that. It might just be a really good drizzle of balsamic vinegar and olive oil. So I'm just now going to throw the rest of these ingredients in a bowl. I'm looking now. What I normally do is get everything out, and my eyes is like bigger than my belly. I'm like, yes, use that, and I'll use that, and I'll use that. And then I get to this point where I'm assembling things and I think about it a little bit more, and I think, you know what, maybe I'll just leave that bit out. And the weakest link for me right now is the pasta. I might actually freeze that. Pasta was left over from last night. If you watched that, there's just a small little container. People say that you can't freeze pasta, you know, it needs to be perfect, needs to be the most perfect thing ever. But what I do with that type of pasta is I put it in my soup. So we're kind of, I can't say it, I'm sweating so much right now. My glasses are falling off my face, but we're getting kind of into autumn. That feels very weird to say. Winter is on the way. I'm not going to say the famous line because I've never ever watched that show. So I'm not going to be culturally correct. So I would put that in pasta, which I love, in soup. I love a bit of pasta in soup. And that means I'm not wasting it. I know we're not going to use that before it goes off because we just got handmade pasta this morning. So, back to the salad. This is all just simple stuff. Try not to chop your bowl. And I'm just doing everything quite small, so it's just a chop salad-y kind of event. And then I have all this awesome coriander. So I'll chop that up. And I decided, because I'm adding these croutons, it'll be a little bit panzanella-y, panzanella style. So I don't have any tomatoes, but I'm going to make a little Dijon mustard. So in the container I'll mix some extra virgin olive oil, Dijon mustard, maybe a little bit of garlic, and then give that a good shake around, and that will be the dressing. Okay. Continuing with chopping everything up. I also like chopping up leftovers in different sizes because it just makes them seem like it's a different thing. Like it's new, never been used before, cooked especially for this meal. Okay, so I have cabbage here. Cabbage is a funny one because, so when I was doing the catering, one of the most common emails I got, if it wasn't, wow, I never thought I could like, I always hated Brussels sprouts and now I love them. It was, what the hell do you do to your cabbage? I've never liked cabbage and I love yours, and I'll show you why. If I can find it. I use this handy contraption. It's called a mandolin. It has a slicer there, so it's very, you've got to be careful because it will devour your fingers, and you can move the blade height to make a thicker or thinner chop here. And then other attachments you can add in, like a little serrated edge to like julienne things, or there's a bigger edge as well, so you could make perfect, you know, uniform sized, let's say you wanted to make hot chips or something like that. I mean, I would never really use that one because I just chop it up and throw it in the oven, but if you wanted, I don't know, if you felt like being a bit OCD, just chopping off the end that's a bit yuck, and this end that's a bit yuck. I love cabbage because it lasts so long in the fridge, and if you were watching from earlier on, you saw my tip, how I line the fridge with the wet tea towel. That also just helps to keep everything fresh. So one question that I used to get asked a lot when I would do my, I'm just checking on the croutons. Let me show you these first. So they're perfect. That was actually 15 minutes. They're crispy and golden. So I'll just put them out of the oven, and I'm also smelling things. So I can smell that the broccoli is cooking faster than anything else, which is what you would expect because it's a lighter veggie. It doesn't need as long. So if you wanted a really bright, vibrant broccoli, you really only need about 10 or 15 minutes to 20 minutes to roast it, depending where it is in your oven, how much you have in your oven too. So let me go back. What was I saying before the oven interrupted me? When I would do my cooking classes, which I still do, but the common thing that I got, especially when I'd go teach corporate groups, was I buy my veggies on a Sunday, and by Thursday they're completely off and they're going manky and they're looking manky in my fridge. And that to me has never happened. I don't even want to tell you how long this cabbage has been in there. It's going a bit yuck looking. I mean, I wonder if it's because they never bothered to chop off the old bit. That could be one thing. But also, I think it comes back to where you buy your veggies from. So if they look sad in the shop, they're not going to last long. Or if you buy them from somewhere that just, you know, not to name any names, bigger places that cold store their food, or they're traveling a long distance. I almost bought avocados recently from New Zealand. That's, you know, time that it's been off the tree to get here. Luckily I checked right at the last minute on the sticker. So if you buy fresher ingredients, they will last longer in your fridge. And then the next tip is line your veggie cooler with a wet tea towel. So I'm just going to slice this. This is one awesome thing. I have a whole veggie slicing class coming in Kitchen Saucery because look how thin that is. Look how beautiful it is. Not that I'm ever going to tell anyone to go buy equipment. You know, you don't need amazing equipment to cook good food. You could do this with a really sharp knife. You just need to practice your skills so you can finely slice. But this, I had this when I was catering, and I find it comes in so handy when I want to make beetroot chips, so very thin chips, or what else do I use this for? Mainly just slicing up veggies like this, kind of like a coleslaw-y vibe. I think it's from Victoria's Basement or something like that, and maybe it was $50, $60. And it's a Ben Reiner, which is the kind of the brand for these, and they last forever. It's Japanese. So I'm just going to slice off a bit of this. These offcuts, the bits that weren't bad that I've just kind of ripped up, put these to the side and pickle them for later. Or I've never put purple cabbage in a soup, but you could do it. It would just colour it a little bit, but I put in the green cabbage. A green cabbage leaf in your soup is just delicious. It adds sweetness and comfort, and it's amazing. So I think that's enough cabbage. So this is just one way to make your salads. If I was to slice a bit, well, that's the bad end, but I can't get it anywhere near as thin. And it's all in a wonky shape now, so I can't really cut it properly. Can you see those layers in there? Okay, so step number one is, what's step number one? Roasted veggies are amazing, and you can spice them to make them taste different, so they're, you know, exciting for you. Number two is, if you have offcuts of bread, make some croutons and use them in your meal while you're roasting your veggies. Tip number three is line your veggie crisper with wet tea towels so your veggies last longer. Tip number whatever, I've lost count, is try and buy your veggies from the freshest place you possibly can. The next tip is use your senses in the kitchen, so you're smelling, trying to smell for things going in the oven. Like I said before, I could smell that the broccoli was going well, and that would be the next thing to cook. The next tip is cook what you're excited to eat and make it just taste amazing for you. So I get a lot of comments on Instagram, you know, replying to my thing saying, oh, that looks amazing, and I make something similar, but it's not as fancy as yours. It doesn't, you know, whatever, insert thing, you know, their little spiel here, but it's like, I like to cook, but I don't make anything fancy. So they've already, like, they like to cook, but they also, not fancy, not that great at it, where I need to take photos so they look appealing, and that's my thing, and you know, it's what Lunch Lady Lou is about. But I don't make fancy meals. It's just really cabbage, cos lettuce, coriander, roasted beetroot. Let me just put my fingers all through it. Luckily they're clean. Cucumber, carrot, and then croutons and a bunch of roasted veggies. This is the most unfancy meal ever, but what I want to say is that your meals don't need to be fancy. They don't need to look like Instagram meals. They don't even need to tell about them, because that's the hurdle that can get in the way from people actually just enjoying their time in the kitchen. Imagine if you just cooked and you didn't care what it looked like at all, as long as it was exciting to you. This is why I go on about flavor bombs. So if you haven't got my ebook, Get Your Shit Together, it's free and it's on my website. You can start there, or we go through all of this stuff and more in Kitchen Saucery. This and just making your kitchen work for you. But what excites you and the flavorful things can go on top of basic veggies like this, so you can be eating well, but it still has flavor and you're still excited to eat it. And that to me is, it's hacking. I don't want to say hacking. Booby trapping your meals so they work for you. Look how fast that went. What else? Okay, quick dressing. Put that to the side. That's the oven, so I'll just check that. Okay, I'll show you the oven. Sometimes I flip my veggies in the oven and other times I don't. So sweet potato, not nearly done. Eggplant starting to go a little bit. Broccoli getting little charred bits on it, but I'm going to leave it for a little bit longer. So at this point you could flip everything around, cover it in oil again. I'm just not going to. Okay, so you need a jar. And I have this little microplane. And I just want a tiny bit of garlic, not much. Put that over there. This is how I get those odd end bits, isn't it? The carrot and the cucumber. So that's in the jar. You want a jar with the lid just so you can shake it well. And maybe about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I have here some Dijon mustard. Maybe about a teaspoon. Salt. We'll need salt and pepper, but I also have, so these are the pickled onions, and there's some cucumbers in there too, and they're pickling in apple cider vinegar. So, and they'll also, because they've been going for a while, they'll have, they smell like vinegar. It's also been watered down a bit because the cucumber is watery, but it smells, has like a slight oniony undertone. So I'm going to put in a little bit of that, and I'm also going to put in a little bit of balsamic. I'm not using measurements, I just kind of do it by looking at it. I could give you measurements, but I also think that with a dressing, it's so personal on taste. So as long as you know that in here is some oil, some garlic, some mustard, some vinegar, some salt, and some pepper. You don't need a bloody recipe. A recipe is just going to keep you stuck in getting home from work, feeling tired, not feeling like anything, then having to Google for a recipe to find something to cook, realizing you don't have all the ingredients, even after the painstaking choice of picking between maybe your 3 favorite ones. You find out you don't have something, and then it throws you off even more. You really don't want to cook, you want to order takeaway, and you're kind of stuck. Well, I know that's what it used to be like for me. Dressings are something you can just know a little bit about what's going on. That's the way to learn. So just give it a bit of a shake. That's definitely leaking. And smell and then taste. So, I mean, that's not a lot. I'll probably add a little bit more, but I also know I have oil on the roasted veggies. And I'm going to use some of these semi-dried tomatoes, so there's a bit more oil in there as well. So, that's kind of it. We're done. Random salad made from things in the fridge, brought together by what makes me excited. So, your dare would be get a list of your favorite flavor bombs together and write them down, and then go buy them, and go buy the best quality, or you know, whatever you can afford, the best flavor bombs for you. So it might be a tub of green Sicilian olives, or just some really good olive oil, or mangoes. Maybe instead of buying 1 mango, you buy 3 mangoes, or nectarines, or a kilo of cucumbers. It doesn't actually matter what it is. It just needs to be something that you're excited to eat and you're excited to cook with, and then go from there with just freestyling a little bit. But Kitchen Saucery is open. We start this Sunday. You will just learn to love your kitchen, love the fact that you have to eat every day. I'm not going to say it's always going to be 100% amazing, because that's life, but the number one thing that I want to say is you're going to have to eat anyway, and you're going to have to cook anyway. So why not make it a good time and a fun time and a delicious time as much as you can, and a stress less or stress-free time in the kitchen, because that is all available. You don't need to be a housewife to cook. You don't need to have been born with the cooking gene. You don't need to have a mother and a grandmother and a great-great-grandmother that have cooked these amazing meals for you. You don't need to have been taught how to do anything before. You can start from right now. All you need is a kitchen and a chopping board and a knife, and even 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and you can make a great meal. Let's just get over the fact that everyone wants hours to spend in the kitchen, yet maybe when they get those hours, they don't actually do that. There's always going to be something better to do. So there's not, though, PS. Cooking is the thing. Cooking is life. So that's it. There's a link to Kitchen Saucery. I'll show you a photo of this meal later. Have a wonderful evening.